Hey guys, Kevin, Muddy River Tactical. Welcome back to the range. Today we're going to do a comparison video between two pistols, one new to the market, one that's been on the market for a while. Both, I think, in my opinion, are going to be super popular. One we already know is super popular, which is the SIG 365 AXG Legion. This pistol, you can tell by the wear on this thing, we've used and abused this thing, shot thousands and thousands of rounds through it, and made, I couldn't even tell you how many holsters for this pistol. It's just been super popular. We make, I'd say 30% of the holsters we make every day are almost for this pistol, which tells you about how popular it is. It's just a really good pistol. However, it comes with a little higher price point, which we'll get into. So we're going to compare that 365 AXG Legion to the new Canik Prime. Canik has always been popular. They come in at a price point that's good. But this one I think is going to be even more popular than the rest of them. And I chose to do a comparison between these two pistols because they're really pretty similar in all their specs all the way around, and size and different things like that. And it's just overall going to be a good comparison. It's kind of going to be a crapshoot, I think, between which one is the better pistol, and it's just really going to come down to opinion. But I wanted to go through some of the specs on them. We'll shoot a few rounds through them just so we can show you guys the recoil difference between them and different things like that. So to start, we'll just start with the Prime really quick, and we'll kind of go through some different categories. So when you talk about MSRP on these pistols, the Canik Prime is going to be way cheaper. It's going to be about half the cost. And this is rough. It depends on where you're at in the country, so all this will vary. But you're looking at roughly $600 on the Canik Prime compared to roughly $1,200 on the 365 AXG Legion. Both great guns. I have no problem paying that for this gun, but is it really that much better? I don't know. We'll have to go and see there. Weight-wise between the two, as you can see on this one, you got on the Canik Prime, you got a polymer frame pistol compared to an alloy metal frame on the 365. With that, you would think there would be more weight difference than there is, but there's really not. The Prime is roughly 23 ounces, whereas the 365 AXG Legion is roughly 26 ounces. So you can tell the difference, but it's not a huge make or break difference between either one of them. They both have 17 round magazines to them. So they got the exact same round capacity. The Canik Prime comes with two 17 round magazines, where the 365 AXG Legion will come with 3. So you get a little bit more value right there. And if you know SIG mags, they're expensive. You're talking about $50 or so for a mag compared to about $35 for the Canik mags. So it definitely adds up. Sight wise, I'm a fan of both of these sights, I'll put it that way. But the SIG has the X-ray night sights that have been on SIGs for a long time, the green front. Super good sights. I really like them. Has the optic ready, which the Canik does as well. These are night sights as well, but they're tritium night sights, and they're orange. So it's just kind of a back and forth. Like I said, we're still roughly even right there. On the overall length, they're roughly the same. The Canik is barely longer at 6.73 inches, I believe, compared to like 6.6 inches. But where it's different, and this is where, if you line the barrels up, the slides are significantly, or the slide on the 365 is shorter. However, the beaver tail comes back farther. So it makes them roughly overall length roughly the same, but it's just in different areas. Same thing with the barrel. So these pistols, if you just look side by side, you'd think, oh, they're the same size gun, same barrel length, all of that stuff. Well, they're really not. The AXG Legion has a 3.1 inch barrel and is ported at the end, but it's all open right there. As you can see, when you pull this back, the barrel ends right there. So it's ported at the end. So the slide's the same length, but the barrel's only 3.1 inches. Whereas the barrel on this Canik is longer. It's 3.64 and ported at the end there. So with that, where that really matters is it's not going to matter for concealed carry or anything, because you got the same profile. You'll probably get a little more velocity out of this with the longer barrel, maybe even a little better accuracy. We're not going to really go into that today because you'd really have to shoot them a lot more to really compare that, and there's so much human error between that as well. but in theory, this should have a little more accuracy to it. The height on them, so if you've known the Canics, and this is the one downfall of Canics, if you look at the slides on these pistols, you can see how much more streamlined from top to bottom the slide is on the 365 compared to the Prime. So that gives you a different height on them, whereas you got 5.43 inches on this one, you only got 5.2 inches overall on this pistol, which in concealed carry really isn't gonna matter. It's just little nuances in between them there. The width of these guns is roughly the same. And this is where when you go off of specs, like if you look at the specs, the Canik Prime shows it at 1.16, whereas the AXG shows it at 1.4 inches. Well, it's measuring at the farthest point of it, but it can be deceiving because if you look here, the widest part of both of these guns is going to be the mag well. So that mag well is barely wider, but it's not much at all. So I wouldn't worry about the width of it. And like I said on the Canik video, as well as this video, we'll put links to both of the videos that we did by themselves. The grip of the pistol is the hardest thing to conceal in concealed carry. So adding the width there for concealed carry is kind of I like it because it's easier to reload, but it does add some variant to concealing it for some people. So just something to note there. You can take it off on the Canik Prime, but it's still flared. So either one, you're going to be right at the same. So let's go away from specs for a minute and just go to overall feel of the gun. So on the 365 AXG Legion, it's got the G10 grips on it. They feel good, but they don't have a lot of texture anywhere else. There's some texture here and here, but it's not super aggressive by any means. I've never had any problems with it, but it's a different feel than the polymer. Whereas on this Canik MC9 Prime, they've done a lot of texturing to it, and it's really good texturing in the right areas. And the cool thing about the texturing on the MC9 Prime is if you look at the texture on the side panel to the back panel, the side panel's texturing is less. The reason they do that is because when you concealed carry or carry at all, the side is what rubs against your body, and that it can irritate your skin. So they made it where it's not as irritating on your skin, but it still's got plenty of grip to do what you need. So overall, texture wise, I just think the Canik Prime is better there. On the triggers, they're roughly the same, but they're completely different, if that makes sense at all. So we'll start with the SIG. The SIG, I've shot this gun a lot. It's a good trigger, but it's a different trigger because if you look, it's got the take up. So there's the take up, but then if you see that mush between the take up and the actual firing, it's got a mush to it. You can see how far my finger goes before the break. So then the reset all the way back out, but then you got this mush between it. Some people don't mind it, some do. It's just a different trigger. Whereas on the Canik MC9 Prime, they have the same trigger in this as what the rivals do in the Canik, which if you're familiar with those are a great trigger, but it's the same thing. It's a flat face trigger. So it's still got take up. Both of them have a little more take up than I like. It's got the take up to there, but once you're there, it's a solid wall and it just breaks off of that. Right there, and then wall and a break. It doesn't have the mushy feel in between. So in my opinion, the trigger on the MC9 Prime is way better than the trigger on the 365 AXG Legion. It's just no really comparison to me. But like I said, that's all what you get used to. People that argue about Glock triggers but shoot Glocks all the time, shoot them just fine. It's all things you can overcome. It's just what you get used to there. You got your bees back, it looks like, Kyle. Yeah. Those of you that don't know the inside joke, my wife has bees behind us over there, and they haven't bothered us for a while, but the only person that ever gets stung is Kyle behind the camera, and now they're circling us again. So real quick, I'm gonna go over and put some, I'm just gonna put like 5 rounds in each magazine. I wanna shoot each of them so that Kyle can get a good view, and we can maybe, Kyle can put a side-by-side up of shooting them or something like that where you can see the recoil difference between them. And honestly, this is the first time I've shot them side by side, so we will see. All right, let's put the ear protection in. Like I said, I only put a few rounds in each just so we can get an idea here. Let's start with the SIG 365 Legion. Super smooth shooting like always. Now let's go to this and see if it feels any different. Man, to me, just by feel, maybe you'll be able to tell more on camera, just by feel, they feel a lot the same. If anything, I think the AXG may just be a little bit more snappy, but I really think it's just because I feel like I've got a better grip and purchase on this, the way my hand fits in here, than what it does on, you got more of an undercut, if that makes sense there. This one feels a little better in my hand, so I think that's why it got a little different feel to it. But overall, I just wanted to bring both of these guns out because I think this Canik Prime is going to be a super big seller, no different than this AXG Legion has been. But really, you're talking about the same category of gun, super similar in specs. They're going to concealed carry about the same. You know, there's nuances between everything. Some people argue that this Canik being rounded at the back will be more comfortable to carry than this back there, and vice versa. And some people like this because it goes back farther on your hand compared to this one does. So there's nuances between it. That's going to be personal preference. Really, I'm not going to bash either one of them. Yes, the Canik, I think if you go just straight value, dollar for dollar, is a way better value because it competes in every category that this does at half the price. But also, these SIGs have been great. If you got the money, there's nothing wrong with them at all. So I'm not going to bash it just because of price. But definitely, if you're on a budget, the Canik Prime is going to be a way better option. If budget's not in there, it's really a toss-up on just which one feels better to you. They're both going to be super reliable guns for you, and I think do everything you want. So if you have your opinions on either one of these, have one or have both, or let us know your thoughts in the comments section below. I'm eager to hear what you guys think. And we'll see on the Canik Primes, we can kind of judge on how popular something is by our holster sales and what gets bought and what doesn't. But I think they're both going to be right up there. So if you guys have any questions or need anything, reach out to us, support@muddyrivertactical.com, or go to our website, muddyrivertactical.com. And until next time, keep practicing and always be prepared. So just like all the other videos, that's gone for sure. If you watched our video last week, I'll put a link.